Oh my goodness, you guys, I have been wilding out with this new Red Heart all-in-one granny square collection, or whatever you want to call it. After I made my balaclava cowl, I was just like, I wonder if there's other, well, initially when I got this, if there are other granny squares that we can create with this. Obviously the color changes at a certain point. They want you to use an eye hook. They are telling you how to do it so that you get the best, transition. So I did videos already on how I, first tried it out, maybe some troubleshooting in that video. And then I did the balaclava video and join as you go kind of a thing to show you that, how to use maybe your squares. Obviously you can make blankets and scarves and all kinds of things, right? It is about 6.5, 7 inch square, right? By the time you're done, depending on the way you crochet. I think typically a lot of them are going to end up the same size because you have to do it a certain way or else you're not going to hit those variegation lines, right? Where it starts and stops. Anyway, so I have videos on that, so I'll link those in the description box. But the whole time I've been thinking, like, I wonder if there's other ones, or maybe like kind where you have a little flower. I don't know. You could make a rose, or that kind of thing with this guy. It's possible. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. That'll be my final piece if I'm able to do something like that. But for now, what I thought of was something simple but that totally looks different, is like a sunburst. So that's what I did here. So anyway, if I have any links in the description box, those will be affiliate links, which means I'll make a small commission if you're purchasing. So those links for these videos, it's literally just for like the hooks that I'm using and stuff like that. The yarn you can find at Joann. Website, I think Hirschner's. I actually didn't check this morning. Maybe it's in more places. I don't know. And then Yarn Inspirations themselves, which I didn't realize was on the label. Obviously, it's something they created. I don't know what this is. I haven't really looked it up. I feel like it maybe started with a YouTube channel. I don't know. I don't know what that is. All I know is Karen also has Yarn Inspirations lines, so I thought that was interesting. But anyway. So today we're going to work on what you saw in the video there. And initially I used the same skein I've been using because I haven't done a haul video. Oh my gosh, I need to do the haul video. I just realized that. I just want to start playing and then I forget to show you guys the other things I had grabbed. But anyway, this is the soft white pink punch skein, and I use this in my balaclava video. And I mean, I should go bring the other. Oh well, here it is. Just so you see what the granny square normally would look like. It would look something like this, and it does look like that. Obviously, I've shown it a million times already, I feel like, because I keep making shorts whenever I'm working on this stuff because I was so excited. So it's just your typical granny square, and this is what looks like a sunburst. Now this is the first one I worked on, and I tore back and did, and tore back and did, and tore back and did, and I'm surprised that the yarn isn't like floofier because, oh my gosh, I really had to work at it. And this is not even the one that I ended up really going with, but I like that the transitions are hit right on point. Everything's good to go. I started off by just writing down some notes on the back of the receipt, and then I was like, I can barely even read what I'm writing. And then I started changing my mind because as I'm working with it, I'm like, oh, it'd be more refined if I did this, or if I did this. Oh, I started with 14 of these things, but I got to the end, I'm like, oh, 14 doesn't divide by 4 easily in a way that you're going to have nice edges and then have an amount of these guys before your corners that makes sense. Okay, so I pulled them back. I did 12, but I forgot that my first chain 3 in here, chain 2 counted as 1, so I had 13, so I didn't realize till I got to the end. I was like, so I had to pull it out again. All those kinds of transitions and how many dips and pulls for each one of these little clusters would actually get you to where you want to be at the end of the variegation. I mean, that each round probably took a good 30 minutes to just figure out that part, and then okay, now we're moving on to the next one. Okay, that actually didn't work, oh my gosh. So it took a while. I would say probably 3 hours of time that I put into that. I started making other notes, started changing the amounts of those clusters, of how you're going to pull them out, these little clusters. This isn't even my final, but it's final enough. And then I started making my own videos for myself to say, okay, this is what you did, so I wouldn't forget. This is what you did. You did this and this, this and this. And even those videos are different now because I did change things up as I tried a different skein, because I was like, okay, well, it works on this one. Will it work on the other ones? Because I keep showing you guys the same skein. And this one, it came out even better in my opinion. Look at it's like looser. It looks nicer. The transition, like from here and here. So this one is a little tighter, and as you can see, it's It's more of your typical Sunburst, because Sunburst is supposed to be pretty tight and have like those little crochet clusters that are like boom, you know. And this one, it's a little more relaxed, but I like the way it looks and the way it feels better. So I'll talk to you guys about how, if you want it this way, all you have to do is not chain one in this second round. On this one, I was chaining one in between, and it just lays it down flatter. But look, I mean, it started at the front at the beginning. I did have to leave a long chain of the beginning color because we don't need this much. So I left a long chain, and I left it there on purpose to show you guys. And everything else is basically hitting on point. I might have to do a little fudging to make it really work, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. So there's that guy. And then I made another one this morning when I woke up, and it was 4:30 because my husband had to go to work early, and I was just like, I'm gonna start working. And here's the one I made this morning, which is also more refined even from this one that I was working on yesterday, because I was still kind of working out some kinks. And look where it ends. It ends right when the black ends, and then the next color, the pink, starts again. And since I don't need that much pink, I don't care. That's great. And I still left the long pink tail when I began, and it's perfect. If you're really looking at a Sunburst, like you're looking at mine, you're going to say, oh, it's not perfect. They're not perfect, especially when you're doing your transitions of colors and you're weaving in ends. There's always an area where it has like a weird little buckle, like something that just sticks out, and we're still going to have something similar that, like right here, to me, this could be better, but that's just where it began with the chain 2 or chain 3, and it's just going to look like that, guys. So, you know, take it or leave it, but there it is. So I haven't even looked at the size, but what's interesting is that they are all the same size, and I didn't even try to do anything with that. I still use a size I hook because that's what they recommended, and that's what I used. So we'll talk about design choices as we go along, but I haven't even measured this, so the gauge should be, no, I'm just kidding, it doesn't matter. 5.5 inches is what I have. So since it's my Sunburst and I came up with this thing, and it's a traditional design, guys, the Sunburst, you're always going to do something similar where it starts off with like circles. It might be 14, it might be 16 of them or whatever. I guess it wouldn't be 14, but it has to be a number divisible by 4. So the other way I came up with this is that when you did this one, you're basically doing 12 double crochets, you know, to make this very center. So 12 was a good number to start with. That I knew that this would actually, the color would create, right? I would have enough for 12 stitches because you have to do 12 stitches to begin with. So I just fell back on 12 instead of like trying to do 16 or something else, or change out the size of this guy. But of course, this is just an idea. You can do whatever you want, and maybe yours are better, and maybe you'll do 16, and maybe you'll use like a H hook, something smaller, so you can get more stitches in. I do want to mention this because I got a lot of comments on the first video, you know, with my troubleshooting, trying it out for the first time, and people were like, oh, maybe you want a smaller hook or a larger hook, and they kept saying the wrong thing. If you guys want something to become smaller, you need a smaller hook, okay? You might need to make more stitches, but the thing is, if you use a smaller hook, your project is going to be smaller. If you use a larger hook, you know, a bigger barrel here, your project is going to be looser and bigger, okay? So if you're not hitting your marks on the yarn inspirations to make the granny square, and you're just running out of yarn, that means you're stitching way too loose. You need a smaller hook or stitch tighter, okay? Smaller hook or stitch tighter. If you have way too much yarn at the end of your round and you're already done, then you're stitching too tight, and you're using like, well, if you're using an I hook, you're just stitching too tight. So maybe you want to go up to, you know, a J hook or whatever, something one size larger. I was going to bring out my steel crochet hooks, and I'm just saying this because I got this comment a lot, and I'm like, okay, guys, I've been crocheting almost 40 years now. Let's say 37 years. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I would need to do to switch these guys out, and everybody that left comments, almost everybody, was wrong in the association of using a smaller hook or a larger hook. Like, so with steel crochet hooks, the ones that are just like steel crochet, you're making doilies, they're tiny. The larger the number on those, the smaller the hook. So if you have a 10, it's tiny, and if you have an 8, it's a little bit bigger, and so on. Okay, if you have a size 1 steel crochet hook, those fine ones, that's going to be like one of the bigger ones for that kind of crochet hook. When you're talking about just regular crochet hooks, and I don't know why there's a difference, the other ones, they call them steel crochet, these are supposed to be steel too, but the other ones are just finer. The regular crochet hooks, the bigger the number, the bigger the barrel. Like this time it does associate. So this is a 5.5 millimeter, and as an I hook, a J would be 6 millimeter, and it is larger. Okay, so as you go up in letters, they get larger, and if you go up in numbers, it's actually the millimeters or whatever. This is a 9.0, the other one might be 9.4, whatever. I don't care about this number, it's really kind of annoying, but this one that only has the 9 and the 5.5 millimeter, it doesn't say I, right? But anyway, that's what corresponds with it. So I understand all those things, and I know all those things, and just because I don't do crochet on my channel all the time doesn't mean I don't know how to crochet. Obviously I know how to crochet and I know what I'm speaking of, otherwise I wouldn't make the video, to be honest. I would just be like, oh, this is a pastime. But this is something that honestly is the thing I used to do all the time. I taught myself to knit, you guys, so continental and English style, so like I know all about these things. And like I said, most of the comments I got, the people were saying incorrectly, like, oh, because I read, I need whatever it was, and I'm like, no, actually I need the larger or whatever it was. But at that, I think you just got to work with the eye hook, you guys. I think if you really mess around with the size of the crochet hook, even if you stitch tight or loosely, it's not going to help. You really just have to get the rhythm of using this, because as I went along, they got easier and easier, and like I'm creating my own, patterns here for this guy. So without further ado, in this video, I'm just going to show you how I made it. And then in the next video, I think I'll make a cowl out of like however many of these guys. So I'm going to use this one. I did haul this one. Black Carnation Code is what it says. I guess that's the name. I don't know. Carnation Code's kind of interesting. And I went with this one because I like the colors in it. I do have like the blue colorways and some other ones, but let's stay with that. And I still have things sitting out here from yesterday's video. I'm going to end up losing that little yarn hook. Hopefully not. So let's get going. Again, you can make adjustments. If you're using a smaller hook, maybe you can get 16 stitches in there to begin with, and then go from there and see what you can come up with. But for me, this is what I'm doing. And I am interchanging sometimes if I do a chain 2 counting as the first double crochet, or chain 3 counting as a double crochet. It's just whatever I feel like, guys. Whatever worked out is what I'm doing. And per round, I might change that up. So let's leave like a good foot, maybe even 18 inches as the yarn that we're not using. Sorry, what am I saying? As the yarn that we need to use here. Okay, so I would like to do it like this. This is my non-working end, the yarn that I just need to waste because I need to not have too much of that pink left, and then I yarn it over, and that's how I make my slip stitch. Other people just knot around their fingers and then add it whatever you want. I'll make it a little bit closer, and we're gonna start with a chain 4. So I'm just holding it 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're gonna make your stitches pretty loose. Now, you might say, oh, why don't you just use a J hook, there's an I, to begin with, because in some of the rounds did end perfectly, and some ended where I have to like kind of get rid of some of the yarn at the end. So like if I just change out the hook size, it wouldn't work out, and I would have to redo everything. So this is the max that I can do with what we're working with. So go ahead and join it into a round. So go into your chain 1 and join it to a round. And I always like to kind of keep my non-working yarn over here because I'm going to conceal it as I work. So so we did that. We're just gonna chain 3. 1, 2, 3. If you count your first one as 1, go ahead. If you don't, make a third chain. Right now we have plenty of yarn to mess with, so I'm just gonna go ahead and chain 3 and make it nice and tall. I recommend doing this really tall, and because you're trying to waste this pink, you don't need as much as what's there. So 11 double crochet. After your chain 3, that's going to count as one of your double crochet. We're going to do 11 double crochet. So there's 1, 2, like I said, nice and loose, and if you run out, then just go back and tear some out just like you did at the beginning whenever we were first using the granny square yarn, that you had to make adjustments. But this is just the way I'm doing it, super loose, okay? Nice and tall, like really tall double crochets. Let me get myself some slack, and I wasn't counting, so we had 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 is the chain 3. I already forgot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and as you can see, I'm already bringing in, I'm this close to the color change, and I only need to make 2 more double crochets. So that worked out pretty well. I want it to be, I could probably go a little bit tighter, but this isn't bad because look at that. I brought out the color, and we need to make color change when we add it, so that's perfect. Again, you can leave yourself a little bit less of this if you need to. Make whatever adjustment you need to make, but you saw that that worked out perfectly. And let's make sure I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, and then the first chain 3 being my first double crochet. This guy, we can tighten it to make the hole smaller, but what I'm going to do with this is just weave it in at the end, and then I'll deal with that then. So this is the top of my chain 3. That's where we're going to start. And then we're going to slip stitch into the that space there. So there's the top of my chain 3. I just made it into a circle. And I should leave one of these here so you guys can see what we're going for next. The burgundy being our first little cluster. Super cute, but they're in between the chains, right? In between the double crochets. So to get there, some people would just go ahead and start here, but generally what you're doing is you're changing color, and so you bring in a new color and you start it in one of the spaces. So we got to get into the space. Right now we're on top of the chain 3. So just simply go in between your double crochets or whatever. Just go in there and bring out a loop, and that's it. Now you're in that space. Okay, so, sorry, excuse me. I was just, I hope I was explaining that we're going to just be in this space here, like if we had just joined a new color, but we need to get in that space. And we're going to make half double crochet clusters. I'm sorry if I had said double crochet at the beginning or if I even mentioned, but these are half double crochet clusters. So what we're going to do is chain 2 to get the height that we need. 1, 2, nice and big because you have plenty of yarn. I pulled all this yarn with this one, so you're going to do it nice and loose. So that's going to count as the first part of our cluster. Each cluster is going to be dipped 3 times before we pull through, and I'll show you what that means. So half a double crochet, and that's something I had to figure out. 5 times was too many, 4 times was too many, 3 was a good amount, even though it's not as puffy as you might like in your traditional Sunburst, okay? But it's there, it's cute. So that's going to be the first part. So we need to finish this one up. We need to finish this cluster. So we already have part of it. We're going to yarn over, put through your space, pull up a loop, yarn over one more time. That's a second yarn over. Go in, pull up a loop, nice and loose. I'm just kind of making them taller. And now you're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops that are on your hook. And if you do this nice and loose, you shouldn't get stuck, but you might. You know, it's a little bit tight. Now, see how this came from here, and it doesn't look like together like one, but that's basically one cluster. I know it starts off somewhere. You got to start somewhere, and that's just what it looks like. Okay. From here, you can just go straight into making your yarn over, going ahead into the next space, pulling up your loop, yarn over, and do all that. It'll be a little tighter. It'll look more like this one, right? I don't know if you can tell how it's kind of puffed up in the center, and this one's a little flatter, a little more relaxed, so you can kind of see from the side how it puffs up. And this one's just a little more flat. And I like the look of that. It looks a little more stylized to me. But if you want it like this, don't put chain 1s in between. Just go for it. But I just finished. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to go ahead and yarn over, go into the next space, pull up a loop, yarn over. This is my second yarn over, pull up a loop, third yarn over, go into that same space, pull up a loop, nice and loose. I feel like I'm a little bit tight. Yarn over, and then pull through all the loops on your hook. And sometimes, because in there you don't see them, there's a bunch of little loops that you don't see, so you want to just finagle through there. Chain 1 if you want. If you don't, just go. So yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over. That's the third one. Go in, pull up a loop, nice and loose, and pull through whatever you have on your hook. Chain 1, nice and loose, guys. Yarn over, go into the next space, and it's not really a space because they're one after the other, but it is a space. It's just not like a chain 1 in between. You're just going between your double crochets. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over. There's my second one. Pull up a loop, yarn over, third dip, and pull through. Chain 1. I'm gonna do one more. Yarn over, go into the space, pull up a nice loop, yarn over, go into that same space, pull up a loop, yarn over the last time. And so again, for me, it worked out doing it 3 times. And then chain 1. And I'm going to do that in every space till I get to the end, and I'll come back then, okay guys, because otherwise this video is going to take forever. I'll be right back. And this is super typical. Every time I've gotten here to the last cluster, I have plenty. Like, to me, this is a little more than I would want. So you can go back and tear some of these out and make them loopier, make them a little softer, you know. For me, what I'm going to do is just slip stitch into the space that I want to be at, and also getting rid of some of this. So this is my last one. I'm going to put it right here. Actually, ooh, I still have 2 more. Oh, perfect. Actually, this might work out. But, okay. Because sometimes I have some left over. We'll see. So I did that. So let's yarn over, go in here, yarn over, go in here, last yarn over, and then pull through all my loops. So again, this depends on your style and how you do this. So chain 1 or whatever. I still have 1 more to go, and I think it's pretty good. I'm still gonna have some left over, but that's very good. So I'm gonna yarn over, go in that last space right before my chain 3, should I say. That's my first double crochet, basically. So yarn over and yarn over, pull up loop. Did I do that 3 times? I think that's the 3rd time. Okay, pull through. We're gonna finish with the chain 1. And so I still have this amount of burgundy in this situation to get rid of, so this is fine. What I'm gonna do is bring this over here, and I really want this to become a cluster and not to look like the, you know, step up plus the end of the cluster. So what I'm going to do is at the top here of this cluster, just kind of go in there, and then we have where we chained 1, there's a space. So I'm going to go at the top here, not on the top of the chain 3, but up here. You can also go up here if you wanted. You know, it just depends, wherever you think it looks best for you to get your crochet hook in. So this is part of the thing when you're crocheting, sometimes it's just do what looks good. There's no rule here. So I'm going to this first one here and kind of loosely attaching that, right? Because that's what we want. We want those to be, you're going to do this anyway. You want to finish your round, so you have to chain to the top. Now, I could have changed it here if that feels better to you. I'm not going to put 1 here plus 1 here at the top of the very top of the cluster plus another one in the chain 1 space. So I'm just going to go into my chain 1 space again, super loosely. Just get that going again at the top of the cluster. That time, and then inside the chain 1 space again, very loosely. I'm just repeating this because I'm trying to get rid of my burgundy, which was going to come up now. This is just perfect. So I'm going to go in here. Actually, right here I could start chaining and then just be happy with that, or you can move over 1 more, whatever it is that makes you happy, however that looks. So I'm going to slide into this chain 1 space, and that's where I'm going to start pulling up the next round, which is this coral color. You can call it wherever you want. You just have to be in the middle of one of these clusters, okay? So again, do what's best for you, what works out. You might still have more burgundy and keep going, you know? Or pull some back and make them looser up here. So for me, I only had to really slip stitch, 4 or 5 stitches, and that's great. Okay, so in here, we're going to work on the next one, which is going to be clusters of double crochets, but that are like a cluster, right? So you don't complete them. So just like we didn't complete the half double crochet till we pulled out as many as we wanted, you don't complete them until you're done. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and chain 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to yarn over once, put it into that same space that we're in, that chain 1 space, pull it up, you go ahead and yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, go back in that same space, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and now we're going to finish it by going through the 3 loops that are on my hook. That is your cluster. So the rest of them are going to be 3 double crochets that are not completed until you're finally done with your cluster. We're going to go ahead and close that up, and then we're going to chain 1. Okay, so basically you're doing 2 chains, but you're basically closing the top of that cluster. So I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to go into the next space, right? Go in here nice and loose. You guys have plenty of yarn for this. So I got a frame to grab some more yarn, and I didn't want you guys to get confused. So we just did the chain and then the other chain 1, right? Yarn over, and we're going to dip right into that next space. Pull a loop, yarn over, go through the 2 loops, yarn over, go ahead and pull up a loop, yarn over, go through those 2 loops, yarn over 1 last time, go in through here, pull up the loop, 2, and then pull through all the 4 that are on your needle. Or on your hook. It looks different from the first time because the first one wasn't the same kind of thing that we were doing. So because of the step up. So close it up and chain 1. Yarn over, go into the next space here, and this one's really loose, so I want to make sure I'm not splitting my clusters. So go in there, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2 loops. Now you have 2 on here. Yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2 loops. Yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then pull through all 4 on your hook. Finish it off, chain 1. Go into the next one. So again, it's 3 dips. And like I said, I figured this out because 4 and 5 dips was too many. So just go in, pull up a loop, go through 2, yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, go through the first 2, yarn over, sorry, I had to get out of the way, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, 2, yarn over, and finish off those 4. Finish it off by just making a stitch, basically, chain 1. And that's what we're going to do for the rest of this round. So there we go. Oopsie. Every time I do this, I get caught on that pink thread, that pink yarn, because I don't know why. Every time on this round, the pink yarn in the back wants to come with. So this yarn, you can either go ahead and sew it away, or just tuck it away, or just keep it out of the way. Okay, so we just did that one, and I'll just leave that down. Yarn over, go in. Oopsie. See, as I'm saying, it's really loose, so make sure you're not splitting your little clusters here. Yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, those 2, yarn over, that's 2, and this is 3. And I guess the way you would know if you're not really counting, if you forget, is when you pull up these 2. If you have 4 left, you're good. So just pull through the 4, 1, 1, right? Alright, so I will be back when I finish doing this in between every single one of my little half double crochet clusters, and I'll be back. I do want to show you, remember how I stitched over to get rid of some of that burgundy? So when I get here, my yarn over, it looks a little messy because it's that first step up, which is annoying, and that's just what it looks like, guys. Like, you can't really change that, but go ahead and split your good cluster from that one. You don't want to split that one, and then just keep working, okay? You know, when you get there, because you're definitely going to have to get rid of some of your burgundy, I would think, because I've done these and I ripped out and did it so many times that it's like, yeah, it has to happen. Now I'm going to push this closer, and my next cluster is in here, and yeah, you're gonna have to get rid of some. And then even this pink one, or the coral, I usually end up having not quite a bit, but like you can see the color changes here, so I still have one more cluster to do. And so, you know, I'll still have some that I need to get rid of. So let's just go ahead and do this together. I was planning on doing the whole thing with you guys because I want you to see that I'm not tearing back very much or doing any of that. I'm just getting rid of the extra by getting rid of it, basically. So there's that, and there's our chain 1. And this is the top of our cluster. Again, you know, it looks funky, this first one, because that's just what it looks like. I don't know what to tell you. But here, what I was doing is, we're going to ignore that first 3 just because it looks better to be at the top of this guy. And then we have the chain 1 space. We also have this guy we can go into. So wherever you want to go, it doesn't really matter. Whatever looks good to you. So I'm going to go into the top of that chain 3, and that's what puts this guy together. It looks similar kind of to the other ones. It's always going to look funky, that one. I have this much to get rid of, so it's actually a pretty good amount. I mean, I can go back and try to make this a little floofier to get rid of it that way, but I don't really want to tear back and do that. So I'm just going to have at the top of the chain, the cluster, and then go into the chain 1 space. Okay. This one, I think I should go, you know, there's this area, and then there's the very top where we did the chain, and then the chain 1. So pick one spot to go in as far as these guys. So I'm going to go in this first one, and then into the chain 1. Again, that's a style choice. Do what you want. I'm going to go into the top of that first one, and not the middle one, the one that we just close it up, and then go into the chain 1. And I'm doing it very big, like super loosely. I want to get rid of this, but I also don't want to tighten up my circle, you know, so I'm doing it very loosely. I go in there super loose. And you're not really going to notice this because you're going to cover this up anyway later. So in there, in that first little area, and we're almost there. I'm already pulling up the next color. Okay, so there it is. And that's how I'm getting rid of that and starting with the next color. Okay, and I was happy with that. So, you know, do what you will with this information, guys. The next one, I kept forgetting. I'm like, is these, because they're so tall, but what it is, I did double crochets in the corners, and I did half double here, because you're gonna have to start making this a square. So, I mean, you can make another circle round, I guess, or another cluster, but at some point you gotta make this thing a square. So that's where I'm doing it, because we only have 2 more colors to go through. So I'm doing it here. So, you know, I'm here, I'm just going to start my square, and I'm going to start off with a chain 3. And I'm doing chain 3 because I'm making these really tall, these double crochets, like we're going to make them loose and tall. So 1, 2, and 3, and we're already slip stitched in here. So we're starting in here. I'm going to do 2 more really tall double crochets. I mean, they're so tall, I thought they were triples, and then I looked and I was like, wait, no, they're not triple. And then I went back to my notes, I went back to my video that I made for myself, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I said, just quick little videos I took on my phone, you know. So chain 3, 2 double crochet, chain 3, and you don't have to chain 3, you can chain 2, but I just want to get rid of a lot of this burgundy color, so chain 3 helped me get rid of some of it. So, and then we're going to, in that same one, we're going to make our corner, so I'm going to go ahead and do 3 double crochet, super tall, the juiciest, longest double crochets ever, chain 1, which is another thing I didn't have to do, but I'm just trying to get rid of this burgundy, because it's kind of burgundy cherry color. And the next little gap, we're going to put in, 3 half double crochets. So after we chain 1, you're going to yarn over. If you're not familiar with half double crochets, it's just a size in between a single crochet and a double crochet, and it's like a double crochet in that we yarn over, but we don't pull up 2 loops and pull up 2, like you'll see. So yarn over, go in here, pull up your loop, yarn over, and go ahead and pull it through all of them, but nice and tall. You see how loose that is? Like, that is really loose. Yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through all of them. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3, chain 1. And then we're going to do another 3 half double crochet. So in here, 1, 2, 3, half double crochet, chain 1. And then we're going to do our next corner. So it's just 2 gaps or 2 spaces here where we do half double crochets. The other ones are corners. So here, yarn over, super tall, remember, pull up a loop, yarn over, we're doing a double crochet, 2 double crochets that are really nice and tall, 3 double crochets, and then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and the chain 3 is very flouncy. It's a lot extra, but you know, we need to get rid of this. And I think this is the round where it's like perfect when you get to the end. 2 and 3. So we just worked another corner. It's looking something like this. So 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 half double crochet, chain 1, 3 half double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet, chain 1, and then go in for our 3 half doubles. 1, 2, and 3. Again, chain 1, 3 half doubles, 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, and then again another corner. So we're going to go in here, we're going to make 1, let me pull this yarn, it's getting stuck here, 2, 3, and then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then finish off that 3 double crochet in here, chain 1, 3 half double crochet, chain 1, 3 half double crochet, chain 1, make your other corner here, same as we've been doing, and then come down this way. So I'll be right back. Almost done, and you pull this stuff, and then the next color changes there. So we have this much to finish off my corner, and then a few other clusters, right? So I still have this corner, 1, 2, 3 double crochet, chain 1, my 3 half doubles, and we're pretty much there. So let's just get that going. So 1, 2, 3, and then I can see that I probably have a little extra that I don't need, but that's okay because we also need to get into one of these spaces anyway, so that's fine. So chain 1, 1, 2, and 3. But whatever you do, you know, if you're chaining 1, if you're not chaining 1, if you're chaining 3 or chaining 2, do it the same way every time on that round, right? Because you don't want to start doing wonky stuff. And look at that. I mean, it's already, and it always looks wonky because you're going from a circle to a square. So I did my chain 1, and we're going to go into the top of our chain 3. And sometimes I get mixed up. I'm like, is it this one? No, it's obviously not that one. But like, look at your double crochets. This little lump, this little chain hoop before your little stick, I forgot what they call them. Anyway, is your double crochet. So there's 1, this is 2, so this has to be the top of 3 because that's the top of my double crochet. So this is the top of the chain 3. I'm just gonna go in there, and you can pull up a nice size loop for your slip stitch because I just want to get rid of this amount. So, you know, if I can get into this corner, that'd be great. If not, I'm gonna have to go into this next one. So I'm just gonna make it really loopy, like just go in here and pull up a good amount of slip stitch on that second double crochet, go into the next one and pull up a good amount of slip stitch, and then go into this one, and when I pull up slip stitch into that chain 3 space, I'm good to go, guys. Like, I'm on my black here. And if you're not, if you're like super far from it, go back and make it loopier. If you ran out before you got there, that's pretty much fine because you're just going to attach it and then come around. But if you want, go back and make a few stitches a little bit tighter. Okay, so you end up having a little more of your burgundy to work with. But look at that. I mean, it's good to go. I'm telling you, I was like, what? I mean, after I got it down. Okay, trying to get to this point was kind of pull your hair out moments, but it wasn't too bad because I was just like, okay, well, let's do 3 dips, you know. I start with 5 or 4. So the next time I was like, I'll do 4, and that didn't work. So I did 3, you know, instead of doing 5, 4, then 3, like I did with this first one. Like, I learned from my own little issues as I was going around. So here we are in the corner, and we're just going to do double crochet, regular granny, just like the instructions had said, except for the instructions start with 6. I'm not doing that. No, this is obviously my own thing. So here you can chain 3, you can chain 2, whatever you like to chain for the top of your to begin a double crochet. And some people like 2 and some people like 3, you know, whatever. So I just chained 3 because we're gonna have plenty of this black yarn for this. So in the same space, we're gonna make 2 more double crochets in that same spot. 1, 2, so that first one counts as your first double crochet. We're only going to chain 2 this time, 1, 2, because it looks good that way, and that's what I have yarn for. And then we're going to go ahead and do 3 double crochet, just like you normally would. I mean, I'm not doing too loose or too tight here, it's just like I normally would stitch. Chain 1, 3 double crochet in the next chain 1 space, just like any other granny. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and then 3 double crochet in here, chain 1, 3 double crochet in here, chain 1, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet on that same corner, right? And then just keep going that way. Super easy, you guys. And it just worked. I mean, I'm like so happy with this. I'll try other things, but I don't know. These are the 2 that came to mind, like the Sunburst, because I was like, oh, I know I can manipulate it pretty well to do what we want. Chain 1. I don't know that there's a lot of other ones. Obviously, the kind that you start with a little flower, you would have to have the right colorway for that to really work and look cute. I don't know if that would ever work with this stuff, but you know, whatever. Chain 1, and then we're in our corner again. 3 double crochet. I need to take a quick stop, a little pause. 1, 2, chain 2, and then 3 double crochet here. I gotta check the time real quick. 2. I had an appointment this morning, so I gotta make sure I'm getting ready for that. 2, 3. Okay, and look how pretty, and that just finishes it off and looks really nice. So regular granny, guys, we're going to chain 1, 3 double crochet, you know, cluster, 3 double crochet, cluster, 3 double crochet, cluster. You're going to do your corner again, cluster, 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 corner, And when I get back over here, towards the end, I will come back, but you have a cluster, 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 and then we're going to join it, and that's it. I'm so excited about this. I love this colorway too. So look what I'm saying, like as you're working and then you start pulling and then you see where the color changes and you're like, oh, okay, that's plenty, or that's not enough, or whatever. You can kind of start gauging that. So for me, I still need three more clusters, and I think I'll be okay. Sometimes I have to kind of start tightening it up. So I did my chain 1, and then 1, 2, 3. On this last one, you have to get rid of a lot of that pink, but you don't want the pink in your last few stitches, right? So you kind of still have to conserve a little bit. But it's like a perfect amount, which I guess makes sense because this is kind of like the last round of the typical one. So if we're here, you know, we're good. I am getting a little bit tighter because I am starting to run out. See, I tooted my horn too early. So what I'm going to do is pull this back. That's the first time I've pulled anything back because, again, when you're running out, that's a different situation. Let's go all the way to here. I don't really like switching things out in the middle because I want them all to look about the same. So I already did my chain 1 there, and all I'm going to do is tighten up how I did my double crochets here in this one. So 1. And what I mean by that is like I'm getting really close. Instead of like pulling longer loops, I'm just kind of keeping it a little bit tight. 2, 3, a little bit tighter than before, and you'll see what a difference that makes. And that's also why I chain 2 here. Don't think I didn't do chain 3 and then run out and I was like, chain 2 is better. Because at least that gives us like another inch of yarn to work with, right? Getting rid of 1 chain in each of the 4 corners. So a nice tight little area there. Let's go in here. 1, 2, 3, and you know, like I like to be honest, and I want to show you this is the first time I actually had to kind of go back and switch it up. 1, but remembering that, I should remember that for the next time because this has happened on all 3 or 4 that I recreated. I had to go back. See, now I have plenty, in my opinion. Let's see what happens. 3, chain 1. I have 3 more. 2 and 3, and all I did was be less generous. Now see, this is interesting because I do have a little pink finishing that off, so I don't care for that. So what I'm going to do is still tighten up a little bit. Okay, and if pink is to the very end, that's pretty well okay with me. So let's tighten that up, make it a little tinier. It'll start softening or loosening, so it's not the biggest deal, but 2 and 3. Am I at the same one? Oh, that is so much better. Okay, and then we're gonna go to the top of our chain 3 and basically link that, and I'm okay with that one being pink, and I'll tell you why, because I'm going to connect this with what's this guy called? With pink yarn is what I already had in mind, because I wanted to bring that pink from the center back out to the ends. So I'm okay with that. If you don't like that, then go back, take back a couple more and kind of pull it tighter. I did start off pretty floofy, I will say, so I know I have plenty of yarn in here that I can take back from, so I might still rework that little bit. In fact, I'll go ahead and do that right now, just so you guys can be happy and say, oh yeah. Yeah, that's fine. I'll take it from here. And no, here. Like I said, I like to kind of do a whole cluster with the same tension. I guess tension's the word we're looking for. Okay. Let's do that one again. And to be honest, I would have just left it, but I want you guys to see. So no, on this last one, you don't want to be too flouncy. That's what I was telling you. Like this one, you want to be flouncy, flouncy. This one, you want to be flouncy, flouncy on almost all of them, because you want to get rid of your yarn, right? On this one, you basically have the right amount of yarn to get this done. So you don't have to be extra flouncy about it, but just get it done there. Let's see if I'm not in the same spot, because sometimes what happens is I'll rework it and I'm still in the same spot and I'm like, Oh, now I have even a little bit extra, you guys. Okay, perfect. So let's go back to 1, 2, 1, 2, top of mine is right here. And we will finish that off. There you go. All right, now we got it. And look at that, I mean, it's exactly the same as this one. Crazy. You guys, I am super happy. I hope you guys like this tutorial and you like this idea. I mean, look at this one, exactly on the pink also. So that last one, again, stitch like normal and you should be good to go. Not too flouncy, not too tight, but you should be good to go. And if you have to rework a few of the stitches, you know, you can do that. But look how pretty. So I have these guys. I have this one obviously as an example, but it's not as refined. Hopefully, I mean, maybe you like this one. Again, all I did here was just not do a chain one between these little clusters on the second round. But you know, you still hit our marks and everything. So if you like that better, then do that. But this one's a little more refined, a little flatter, and that's what I prefer. So, quick recap. You're going to chain 4, join it, right? And in that same little loop, you're going to go ahead and do a chain 2 or chain 3, whatever you like for your double crochets. I did chain 3 to make it nice and tall. 12 double crochets in total in the ring, which means you have to add 11 more after your step up because we are counting that as 1. And then go ahead and join that. And if you have any pink to get rid of, you know, keep slip stitching around until you get rid of it. But generally, you should be ready to go with your burgundies. Go ahead and get into a space in between the double crochets, wherever that might be, and then chain 2 or chain 3, but chain 2 because we're doing half double crochets. Pull up and dip 2 more for your first cluster, finish it off, chain 1, and what I mean finish off is like pull through all the loops, chain 1, half double crochet cluster in the next space with 3 dips, right? Chain 1, keep going around, join it. You can get rid of any burgundy if you need to, but you need to end up again in one of the chain 1 spaces, and then you're going to do your double crochet clusters that are 3 dips, of course, chaining 3 to begin, 2 dips, finish it off, go ahead and make a slip stitch or stitch, and then a chain 1, right? You guys remember that we capped it off and then we did a chain 1. And go into the next one, pulling up 3 double crochet cluster loops, right? Finish it off. Go ahead and do just like a chain stitch in the air plus a chain 1, and all the way around. You're going to join it, get rid of any of the coral that you need to get rid of. If you need to, slip stitch over until you're ready for this one. This guy again, you're going to go ahead and do a chain 3, nice and tall, nice and floofy, because we're going to get rid of a lot of that hot pink. 2 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet in the same corner. Wherever, it doesn't matter. At this point, you don't have corners, right? So whenever you start off, you're making a corner. Chain 1, 3 half double crochet, chain 1, 3 half double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet in the same, the next stitch to make another corner, and go around that way. Join at the top. If you need to get rid of the pink, either way, you need to get into one of either the chain 1 space or the chain 3 space, and then you're either making 3 double crochet and a chain 1 if that's where you're starting, because let's say that's where your pink left you, or you're going to start your corner with, well, if you end up in a chain 1 space, right, to start your last round, you're going to chain 2 or chain 3, whatever it is that you like for your double crochets to begin with, and then you're going to add 2 more double crochets, right? Chain 1, do the next thing. So if you're in a corner, you're going to chain 2 or chain 3 to start it off. You're going to do 2 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet cluster, chain 1, 3 double crochet cluster, chain 1, 3 double crochet cluster until you get to the next corner. That's again 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet in the same corner, chain 1, and keep going, right, until you're done. Hopefully that was okay. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Generally this is a paper crafting channel because that's what I like to do, but crochet is like my passion, and I work on that when I'm not I always have something like sitting next to me on my couch that I work on that's crochet related, so I do that every day pretty much all the time. Just, these videos, they're longer and sometimes the views aren't there, so I'm like, do I really want to spend my time doing that when I should be doing something else or could be doing something else? So you guys have been enjoying these, so I'll continue doing them and tell me to stop. All right, guys. I'll see you at the next one. Images are coming up, and have a great one. Bye now.